Keith Urban is more than a musician. Masterful, he makes his guitar strings sing with class and passion. He revolutionized country music with passion, emotion, and genius that left you speechless. He made raw emotions sound melodic. Who moved stadiums to tears and delight. Keith Urban was a legend etched into American music from the verdant hills of New Zealand to the big stages of Nashville. Voice spanned continents. He has natural talent and charisma. He enjoyed a life many only dream of with Grammys and a career that redefined country music. A love story starring Nicole Kidman, glittering stages, and a successful music company. At his height, he was unstoppable and brilliant. Keith Urban, reaching 60, isn't the glamorous figure many still imagine. The world just sees fame and spotlights. Behind the veil is chaos, strife, terrible losses, and unhealed scars. This video will reveal his decades-long tragedies. Heavy moments that may stun you. If you like Keith Urban, hit like. That simple gesture honors a great ability. Before the fame, prizes, and applause, he was a little, sensitive youngster surrounded by storms. Keith Lionel Urban was born in Whangarei, New Zealand, on October 26, 1967. He remembers endless changes, uprooted foundations, shifting ground, and a search for his place, not ovations. When Urban was 2, his family moved to Caboolture, Queensland, Australia. Disaster struck soon, halting the new beginning. Keith watched his house burn at 9 years old, powerless. Ashes covered photos, toys, clothes, and fantasies. They had only their clothes and strangers' charity after the fire. Later, he recalled, the only thing we had left was each other and the goodwill of neighbors who showed up with boxes of clothes. Fire outside was a blip compared to disaster within. Their small home saw another form of destruction. Deep scars without smoking. His father, Robert Bob Urban, loved country music and drank erratically. Keith's guitar teacher also taught him fear. Home felt unstable and weighty. Keith said, "I don't remember my dad ever telling me he loved me." That's sad. They're horrible. A child seeking affection received silence, wrath, and blows. Despite the darkness, optimism existed. Bob posted a sign in his little shop window seeking a guitar teacher for his kid. A rare, fragile act of love changed everything. That sign introduced Keith to his first tutor, Sue McCarthy. Keith played ukulele at 4. By 6, he held a guitar like a shield. Early on, music wasn't a hobby. It was armor. His lifeline. Guitar gave him a voice in a house of mood swings and silences. It expresses what he cannot and comforts what cannot. He played with Jenny Wilson and other local artists at Tamworth music festivals to escape. His awards included the Golden Guitar. A prodigy to the globe. But behind every clap was a kid struggling to breathe. Keith's parents drove him to gigs at smoky pubs and taverns as a teenager. On stages too big for his damaged heart, he sought to make sense of chaos. Applause was nice, but it never stopped the stillness. Music saved me, he revealed. It gave me a place to go when home didn't feel like home. That simple, unvarnished line says it all. Not only was his childhood tough, devastating, quite lonely. That was unfair. His soul was fashioned in the crucible. Keith Urban survived those early years: fire, punches, and unrequited hugs. He was built. Pain became poetry, wounds rhythm, and quiet song. The story begins there. Not on a stage or with a Hollywood star, but among the wreckage of a childhood he could never live. Keith Urban's rise from young prodigy to country superstar was difficult. The path was long and difficult, filled with rejections, opposition, and trust. His early performances were nothing special after overcoming fire and fear in childhood. In Queensland, Australia, he played in dingy pubs and dusty fairs at 8. A larger guitar was in his small hands. His parents, still grieving over the loss of their home and struggling emotionally, drove him from concert to show in hopes that music would save them. His goal then was survival, not stage lights. His brilliance was clear by 15. He was gifted with genius fingers and a thousand life soul. Even though he featured on New Faces in 1983 and played with Jenny Wilson, winning the Golden Guitar in Tamworth, his recognition was limited to small-town stages and local appreciation. The main stages were far off. Inspired by Mark Knopfler and Lindsey Buckingham, Keith blended country sounds with an electric fire, creating a unique but hard-to-categorize style. Although artistically impressive, his individuality made him hard to sell. Still, he persisted. His first Australian record with EMI, issued in 1990, barely made a splash outside local circles. Most would have considered that sufficient. Keith Urban was unusual, leaving his home, safety net, and any sense of stability to pursue his passion in Nashville, Tennessee, in 1992 was terrible. Moving was spiritual revolt, not just a change of location. I knew nobody. I had no plan B, he subsequently remarked. Nashville greeted him harshly. Door banged in his face. He played guitar in the background for other musicians, penned songs they sang, and swallowed his pride many times. The Ranch, his mid-1990s band, showed potential but failed commercially. Long nights, continual rejection, and childhood traumas lingered. He admitted, "I remember thinking, maybe this isn't for me," but he continued. He couldn't. Music was no longer a dream. This was his oxygen. Every empty bar he performed, every song he created for someone else, every unanswered call reinforced him. He wanted freedom, not celebrity. 7 years after moving to Nashville, he released his self-titled US debut album in 1999. After By the Grace of God reached number 1, the Queensland child who played through anguish celebrated his hard-fought victory. It was more than a win. A resurrection. It was the start of a meteoric rise driven by anguish and an unbreakable resolve to keep going when everything told him to quit. Fame did not come easily. It stormed into Keith Urban's life like a long-awaited promise. After years of anonymity and misery in Nashville, the millennium changed everything. Keith released his debut U.S. solo album in 1999. By the Grace of God, his soulful song, got him into the U.S. country charts. Not luck. A reckoning. The song's number 1 debut introduced a new country artist who mixed grit with sensitivity, classic sounds with fiery guitar solos. He rose and erupted from there. Somebody Like You topped Billboard's country chart in 2002 and was Billboard's decade's biggest country hit. The world suddenly heard his years-long cry of sorrow, doubt, and irrepressible drive. Success didn't heal scars. It highlighted them. Keith was loved by millions yet sometimes felt more alone than ever. Behind the scenes, he battled imposter syndrome and a past that whispered he wasn't enough. Still, he released album after album. In 2004, Be Here dominated with singles like Days Go By and Making Memories of Us. Keith was more than a country artist by then. He changed the genre. Critically acclaimed and commercially successful, his country, rock, and pop blend appealed to a diverse audience. Tours sold out. Triple platinum albums. He questioned his worth at night, but the public didn't see. Days when old habits were perilously close and pressure to outdo himself. There were 4 Grammys, 15 ACMs, and 13 CMAs. Each showed his talent and weight. Keith was an American Idol judge from seasons 12 to 15. That role showcased his musical knowledge, compassion, wit, and understanding for emerging performers to a wider audience. Keith stayed human despite global celebrity. In interviews, he described how bizarre success felt, how you might be surrounded by lights, cameras, and screaming fans and still feel like that lost boy from Caboolture trying to prove himself. By the mid-2000s, Keith's success was artistic and financial. Worldwide, his albums sold millions. He was one of the highest-paid country performers with tens of millions in tour earnings. TV partnerships, sponsorships, and a successful trademark guitar line boosted his $75 million fortune. He relied on music, which never failed. He relied on it for support and escape. Every chord and lyric he created evoked his past ghosts and his lifeblood. Keith Urban struggled to get famous. It was a series of blood, sweat, and tears. Won heights from rejection and skepticism. His success story isn't about being dominant. Survivorship of the journey is key. Just as he thought the darkness would devour him, a light came. Stable, peaceful, and transforming, not dazzling or loud. The light was Nicole Kidman. Keith Urban endured flames, silence, and loneliness in sold-out arenas. Her presence broke the pattern. Their meeting went beyond romance. His redemption began with a spiritual awakening. Few knew that Nicole was fighting for his life while the world watched a gorgeous couple falling in love. Broken, ashamed, and moved, Keith eventually accepted the hand that wouldn't let go. It was more than marriage. Rebirth. A star-studded Hollywood gala introduced them in January 2005. Despite the glamour, Keith just remembers Nicole. It wasn't love at first sight for Keith. It was magnetic and deeper. Nicole Kidman saw beyond celebrity, music, and image. The wounded man was still healing, she saw. Keith later admitted to waiting 4 months to call her, paralyzed with admiration and self-doubt. They became close discreetly, out of the media. A year later, they married in Sydney by candlelight on June 25, 2006. The world considered it fairy tale. Keith relied on IT. It wasn't easy starting over. Keith relapsed after 4 months of marriage. He hid his demons effectively, but they returned. A singer who had performed for thousands drowned in loneliness. Nicole bravely conducted an intervention out of love. She collected friends, contacted addiction experts, and approached Keith with empathy. She stressed this wasn't about control. About survival. The Betty Ford Center accepted him in October 2006. This time, something changed. He wasn't acting selfishly. He did it for the lady who wouldn't let him collapse and to build the life he never believed he could. Keith called that experience a spiritual awakening in later interviews. I started truly living when I married her, he stated. He meant it. He gained insight after recovery. His clarity gave him purpose. Transformation followed purpose. They had their first daughter, Sunday Rose, in 2008, which Keith termed his most humbling experience. Faith Margaret was surrogate-born in 2010. Fatherhood grounded him. It was no longer about music or drugs to escape agony. Attending, loving, and being the man his father failed to be. Nicole, a star, supported him as a wife and partner throughout his worst times. Not saved by her. She went with him through the fire until he could leave. Their love story is imperfect yet persistent. It means showing up when it's toughest and holding on when you want to quit. Keith often thinks about quiet mornings making breakfast for his girls, long walks with Nicole in the countryside, and the simplicity of a hand held at the appropriate moment. He found salvation there. Being seen and loved in stillness, not applause. Nicole remarked in an interview, "I married the man I believed in, not the one everyone saw." Keith's quiet faith carried him through storms that nearly destroyed him. They survived fame, pain, relapses, and rebirth. They always opted for each other. Today, their home has music, memories, and calm. Keith's most powerful song may not have been an album or a hit. He recreated his life with her note by note, day by day, with honesty, anguish, and a never-losing love. Keith Urban has learned peace and balance, not just survival. Nearing 60, he lives in gorgeous homes around the world that reflect his soul's journey. He enjoys a wealthy, quiet life with his wife, Nicole Kidman, and their 2 daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret. Privacy, simplicity, and love rule the Urban Kidman family's world, whether in their Nashville mansion surrounded by nature, their ancient farm in Sutton Forest, or their Sydney penthouse with harbor views. Keith spends his days with music, mindfulness, and calm joy. He releases mature, clear songs like his 2024 album High, which is introspective and emotive. Straight Line and Go Home WU, his duet with Lainey Wilson, demonstrate a guy continually producing, innovating, and connecting with people worldwide. He mentors emerging musicians and performs at industry events, charity gigs, and TV specials. His passion for the craft remains. It's got deeper. Keith has made money from his work. His 2025 net worth is predicted at $75 million. They are one of the most influential and wealthy showbiz couples with a $250 million fortune combined with Nicole Kidman's. That shows 20 years of continued achievement. Over 20 million records have been sold, and he made $5 million per season on American Idol. He wisely diversified with a home shopping network guitar and accessories line in 2013, selling over 42,000 units in 6 months. His life remains anchored. Keith enjoys Italian food and cooks with his girls or during family dinners. His daily workouts in his personal gym, meditation, and painting meditation via art help him achieve calm. Years of sobriety are maintained by calm discipline and avoiding alcohol and stimulants. His spiritual life is filled with gratitude and meditation, journaling, or reviewing handwritten lyrics and memories. His dwellings are sanctuaries, not properties. Nicole received a $39 million Upper East Side mansion from them in addition to their Nashville residence. Their 3-unit Milsons Point home in Sydney has harbour vistas and honours their Australian heritage. Its 110-acre estate in Sutton Forest, rural Australia, is a place to relax and refresh, while its Chelsea and Tribeca apartments are chic urban escapes. Keith lives simply and purposefully, reflecting his connection to the land. Even being famous, the couple loves giving back. Keith's fans gave over 1,200 teddy bears to children's hospitals in early 2025, extending his generous legacy. Keith supports Nashville's food project and Thistle Farms to help others as he rises. His physical and emotional well-being is better than ever. He is polished and humble. He no longer hides his grief, it molds every note he plays and every lyric he writes. Modern Keith Urban isn't merely a country star. A calm man. Tucking in his daughters. Husband who still awes Nicole from the day they met. A performer who lets music take him instead than chasing the stage. The world loves noise, but Keith Urban finds beauty in solitude. In that silence, his legacy rings louder. Not simply a country star. He's a symbol of endurance, healing, and a peaceful revolution against despair. We encourage you to honor his journey if his narrative moved you. Like, subscribe, and spread his legacy. Because Keith Urban's tale goes beyond music. What it means to live and overcome.